Today's Yale Health Headlines, we're talking about new hope for people who've been diagnosed with bladder cancer. Joining us to share details is Dr. Daniel Petrolak, a professor of medicine and urology at the Yale School of Medicine. He's also chief of his department, which specializes in cancers affecting the bladder and other organs. Doctor, thank you so much for being with us this Wednesday morning. Now, bladder cancer is the fourth deadliest of all cancers. Who is at most risk, and what are some of the symptoms to look out for?
Well, those patients who are most risk are those patients who are smokers and also who have high levels of chemical exposure. It's actually interesting. A lot of my patients are surprised when they find out that bladder cancer is a tobacco-related disease because of the fact that they visualize lung cancer as being the major culprit. But the same carcinogens that enter your body through the lungs have to exit somehow. And there's an exposure of these particular carcinogens in the bladder when the urine sits there and then exposes the inner lining cells to that. The major symptoms we see are bleeding, very, very nonspecific, pain in the pelvis, but those are the things to look out for.
Doctor, when you said chemical exposure, what are we talking about more specifically?
Basically dyes, chemical dyes. It may also be arsenic in the groundwater. It's interesting that bladder cancer seems to be more prevalent in Connecticut. If you take a population of 100,000, 23 will get bladder cancer in Connecticut. Nationally, it's about 19. So it does seem to be a belt that we see in this particular area.
Doctor, we understand there are no major treatments in decades, but all this is now changing. Tell us about what you've developed here locally right at Yale.
So the most aggressive form of bladder cancer is bladder cancer that invades into the muscle that can spread to other areas, particularly lymph nodes, liver, lung. And a number of years ago, we started an initial trial looking at we call a smart bomb, which is a drug that targets a specific protein on the bladder cancer cell and delivers chemotherapy directly to bladder cancer. And we've basically doubled the survival of patients with the most advanced form of bladder cancer. Generally, it was about 15 months, and that's increased to about 30%, about 30 months. And so we're very, very excited about the findings and, of course, investigating new drugs in this area.
That is very outstanding. What are some of the latest drugs that you're working on to take treatment to an even higher level for patients?
Well, we're looking at drugs that target specific mutations on the cancer cell. So there's a mutation or a protein called Nectin-4, and we've actually been able to look at drugs that bring the drugs directly to Nectin-4. And there are other markers on the cancer cell that we can bring specific chemotherapy drugs to that area. So we see that about 30% of patients with our original treatment, a drug called enfortumab, have complete responses. We're looking to look at those patients who don't respond with newer drugs that target different areas in the bladder cancer cell.
All right, and doctor, before I let you go, can you just tell us how important is catching this cancer early on in treatment and recovery?
Well, absolutely. Catching it early when it's either in the lining of the bladder or in the muscle of the bladder, it's still curable in some patients. In fact, if it's caught early and localized, you can cure 60 to 70% of patients. So it's very, very curable.
All right. Doctor, we appreciate the time this morning, and congratulations on all your work.
Thank you so much.
All right.